In chapter 11, verse 10 through chapter 12, verse 9, we find attention focused on Abraham's family background and on his initial experiences with God. In contrasting balance with these initial concerns, the closing material in chapter 22, verse 1 through chapter 25, verse 18 gives attention to Abraham's final years and to his progeny. Beyond this, the second section of Abraham's life consists of episodes that primarily delineate Abraham's interactions with people from other tribes and nations. And by circular symmetry, returning to similar themes handled in the second part, the fourth section of Abraham's life returns to a focus on more examples of Abraham's encounters with others. Finally, in the middle of Abraham's life are three pivotal chapters that focus especially on Abraham's covenant with God. These chapters form the pivotal center of Abraham's life and explain the fundamental dynamics of the covenant relationship that Abraham and his descendants had with God. The shape of these chapters reveals that Moses carefully crafted his account. He constructed a literary portrait of Israel's first patriarch to draw attention to certain aspects of his life: Abraham's selection to blessing, and his rightful heir, Abraham's earlier and later interactions, and Abraham's covenant relationship with God. And as we're going to see, this literary focus was designed to address the needs of the Israelites to whom Moses first wrote these stories. The life of Abraham taught the Israelites how they were to follow in the footsteps of Abraham as Moses led them toward the Promised Land. And as we approach this portion of Genesis, we're going to see the importance of this intentional design time and time again. Having seen the overarching literary design of the life of Abraham, we should turn to the second topic of our lesson on the structure and content of Abraham's life: the main themes of Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 through chapter 25, verse 18. Although there are many ways to describe the content of these chapters, we'll see that the outline we've suggested roughly corresponds to the prominent themes of these chapters. Needless to say, it's difficult to describe the main themes of any portion of Scripture that is as long and complex as Abraham's life. It's just not possible to mention every motif or theme that appears in these chapters, but it is possible to isolate several motifs that are more prominent than others. And as we'll see, these major themes in these chapters unify the stories of Abraham's life, and they help us understand the main ideas Moses wanted his original Israelite readers to draw from the life of Abraham. And more than this, we can also see in these main themes what God intends for us to learn from this part of Scripture. We'll look into the main themes of Abraham's life in two ways. First, we'll examine a key passage that introduces the four main themes of Abraham's life. And second, we'll explore the ways these themes are unfolded throughout the chapters of Abraham's life. Let's turn first to a key passage that introduces the themes of the story of Abraham. I'm sure you will recall that near the opening of the story of Abraham's life, we find God's call to Abraham in Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. While Abraham still lived in Ur of Mesopotamia, God called Abraham to go to the Promised Land. For many years now, interpreters have recognized that these verses introduce some of the most crucial motifs found in the larger story of Abraham's life. Listen to what Moses wrote in these verses. The Lord had said to Abram, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." These three verses are packed with significance and can be summarized in many different ways. On a grammatical level, they begin with an introduction in the first portion of verse 1. Then they continue with God's words to Abraham, which divide into two parts. Part 1, in the second half of verse 1 through most of verse 2, consists of an imperative followed by three independent verbal expressions. Part 2 of what God said to Abraham appears in the last portion of verse 2 and in verse 3. This second half follows the same grammatical pattern as the first half. It's introduced by an imperative that's followed by three independent verbal expressions. By looking at these three divisions of Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3, we can gain some important insights into the significance of this passage.